So just a few days ago, we got our first NBA trade of the offseason. This is a trade between the New Orleans Pelicans and the Memphis Grizzlies. The main parts was Jonas Valanciunas going to the Pelicans and Steven Adams and Eric Bledsoe going to the Memphis Grizzlies, and there was some draft picks involved for both teams. But nonetheless, this is a pretty interesting trade, and I think there's a decent chance that this could drastically alter how good or how bad each team is this upcoming season. So in today's video, I'll just be discussing the trade from both sides. I'm gonna start by talking about it from the Pelicans side and then the Grizzlies side. Before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want more NBA content like this, and if you want to reach my goal of 1,500 subscribers. Also drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all of my comments, and play that intro. To start the video off, I'm going to discuss the New Orleans Pelicans side, but I do feel like I should discuss every single part of the trade before I get into it. And basically the whole trade is Jonas Valanciunas, the 17th and the 51st pick in the 2021 NBA draft, to the New Orleans Pelicans, and then Steven Adams, Eric Bledsoe, the 10th and 40th pick in the 2021 NBA draft, along with a future 2023 protected first round pick to the Memphis Grizzlies. So quite a lot of picks and big names are in this trade. And on the Pelicans side, the most important and significant asset in the whole move is Jonas Valanciunas, and Valanciunas is clearly the best player in this whole transaction, as he's a guy who I would say is a top 10 center in today's NBA, as he just came off of a career season where he averaged 17 points and 12 rebounds on 59% from the field. Absolutely beast numbers. He's a very dominant paint scorer, and he's excellent on post-ups. He's really good in the pick and roll as a roller, and he just has excellent touch around the rim. He's also one of the better rebounders in the entire NBA due to just how strong he is, and although he's not a guy like Brook Lopez who could shoot the ball great or shoot it a bunch of times, he's definitely better than Steven Adams when it comes to spacing the floor, because he's really good in the mid-range area, and defenses definitely can't leave him open there. And he's a capable three-point shooter, although he doesn't shoot them often. He's way better. And when it comes to the defensive side of the floor, although he's not an amazing defender since he's not versatile at all and he's a drop big and he simply cannot guard perimeter players to save his life, he's a decent rim protector, and he's not amazing, but Memphis was just significantly better with him on the court. And I honestly think he might have been their most important player, because they were best with him on the court more than anyone else. And although he's not a perfect center to be paired alongside Zion or Brandon Ingram, he's definitely an upgrade over Steven Adams, a significant upgrade. They also got the 17th pick in this year's draft. I think there's a chance they could select the steal of the draft or something like that. They should definitely try and look to get a player who could be really good on the defensive side of the floor, or a player who could space the floor at a good level. With the 51st pick, there's not really much they can do. It's unlikely they get a steal, but I guess it's better than not having it. And when it comes to what they had to give up, I don't think they had to give up a lot, because as I said, Steven Adams was an absolutely horrible fit on this team, because he's a guy who just clogs the paint, and he's not a guy who can score on his own. He can't post up or anything, and he can't shoot the ball, and he's not even good at guarding the perimeter at all. He also is on a terrible contract, as I believe he's nearly making $30 million a year. And in terms of who's better between Valanciunas and Steven Adams, Valanciunas is way better, as he's probably better at everything besides maybe rim protecting. And in terms of getting rid of Eric Bledsoe, that's obviously a W, because he was probably one of the worst starters in the whole NBA, because at this point of his career, he's just a bad player, because he can't space the floor, he turns the ball over, he's not a great passer, he's not that smart, he fell off as a defender, he just flat out sucks, and he's on a really bad contract, as he's nearly making $20 million a year. So I definitely think getting rid of him and getting rid of his contract is very good. And in terms of them having to get rid of the 10th and the 40th pick, although it would have been cool if they could keep the 10th pick and get a guy like Corey Kispert or maybe Keon Johnson, none of those guys would be able to make as big of an impact on winning as Valanciunas will be able to. And right now, I think the Pelicans are looking to be a winning team, especially after we heard rumors of Zion Williamson potentially leaving because of his family and how they've been losing and stuff. And I think this trade surrounding Valanciunas and those picks makes the Pelicans better going into the future. So I think this trade was definitely a win for them. In this next part of the video, I'm going to be talking about the Memphis Grizzlies side, and like what they got in this move was Steven Adams, Eric Bledsoe, along with the 10th and 40th overall pick in the 2021 NBA draft, along with a future protected 2022 first. And the best player the Pelicans got was clearly Steven Adams, and although he's like a downgrade from Jonas Valanciunas, let's not act like Steven Adams is a complete bum. He's definitely an above average center, and I think he could fit well alongside Ja Morant and the Grizzlies. He's just a player who like plays his role to the fullest extent, and although he'll be clogging the paint up, Valanciunas was clogging the paint up to a certain degree for Morant, so I think they'll be able to make it work somewhat. And Adams is a really good rebounder, and in terms of post defense, he's probably a better one-on-one defender than Valanciunas was. And although him and Valanciunas are bad perimeter defenders and not great pick and roll defenders, I don't think they will like fall off a cliff defensively after getting Steven Adams, but he definitely didn't like make them improve at the center position. He's also a guy on a humongous contract, and he's clearly overpaid for it, and that might come back to bite them in the like butt if they want to like sign future free agents. But Memphis has a lot of money right now, so I don't think having Adams' big contract is going to ruin anything. The other player they got in this trade was Eric Bledsoe, and honestly I don't think he's going to like stay on this team. I think he's going to leave as soon as he can. There's been many reports that he's not going to stay there long. It just doesn't make any sense for him to be on the team, and if you're a Grizzlies fan, you should honestly be happy to hear that he's leaving, because this guy sucks. I think they would probably buy out Bledsoe, or maybe if a team is like desperate, they would trade for him, but there's not much to say about him. Maybe he could be a solid backup point guard on the Grizzlies if he stays, but I honestly think he's washed up at this point in his career. And in terms of them getting the 10th and 40th overall pick, getting the 10th pick is a pretty huge deal, because a lot of times we have seen teams draft star players or steals of the draft in that area, and Memphis has shown that they're one of the better teams when it comes to drafting as of late, as they made the right selection in Ja Morant, they made a pretty good selection in Jaren Jackson Jr., and they made the right selection in Desmond Bane and Xavier Tillman, along with a few others. So I do have some confidence in Memphis's ability to draft the best player available and get the steal in the draft, and getting the 10th pick definitely increases the chance they have to get another star player to play alongside Ja Morant, because this draft class is one of the more talented draft classes over the last few years, with many players looking like they could be stars. Even if they get like a good role player or a good starter, that would be a huge W for them. And with the 40th overall pick, it's nothing amazing, but it's better to have it than not to have it, and then maybe they could like get another steal in the draft. And in terms of that protected 2022 first, I think that could be valuable in future trades, but I don't think it's going to be anything huge unless the Pelicans are absolutely horrible again next season. And in terms of the what Memphis had to give up, giving up Valanciunas definitely isn't going to make them a better team, because he's probably their second best player. You could argue that he was like their most impactful, or maybe even the more important player, but his contract was going to be like ending this upcoming free agency, and maybe Memphis didn't feel like they wanted to pay him that much money. But I honestly don't know how much sense that makes, because they now have Adams, who signed to a huge contract, and even if they felt like a guy like Xavier Tillman was the center for the future, or maybe Jaren Jackson was going to play center for the future, I'd understand that. But them getting Steven Adams, who's a worse player on a worse contract, and he's a worse fit, it just doesn't make that much sense to me. And them getting rid of the picks and stuff isn't terrible, because they did get some in return. If I'm being honest, Memphis getting the 10th overall pick is what is saving them from this being like an absolutely trash trade. Overall, I'd say this trade is like really dependent on like how good the player they select with the 10th pick becomes, and just how good Steven Adams plays, because he wasn't even that good last season. He had a pretty down year. But looking at it right now, if Memphis doesn't select the right player with the 10th pick, it's legitimately might be an L for them. But to conclude the video, I think the New Orleans Pelicans are the clear winners. They got the best player in the move and the better center who's on a better contract. They also got a guy who's a better fit in Valanciunas. They also got rid of two terrible contracts in Steven Adams and Eric Bledsoe, and that frees up a lot of cap space for them. And they clearly just got better as a team with this move, and all they had to move was like the 10th pick, and in return they still got the 17th pick, which isn't even that terrible. You could still select a solid player at that pick range and get a steal. The Pelicans are the clear winners. If you don't think the Pelicans won this trade, you're biased. But Memphis didn't take a huge L. They're definitely not the winners though. It just depends on who they select with that 10th pick, can make or break whether or not they win or not. But this was a pretty nice trade to start off the trading season. Anyways guys, that's it for the video. Let me know who you think won this trade. Drop a like on this video as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want more NBA content like this. And if you want to reach my goal of 1,500 subscribers, drop a comment on this video so the conversation as I do respond to all of my comments. And play that, I'm out.